How could you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Michelle with us, which is an expert in cybersecurity, and she's also the founder of this company. So, Michelle, tell us what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs out there to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
That's a great question, right? So, Harry, I'll tell you this, right? Just from my own personal experience, I think the first step is overcoming your fear, right?
Yeah.
Overcoming your fear, really just trying to find your ground and believing in yourself, right? Innovation, obviously, is the key. Having an idea and then writing that down, planning it out, and what does it look like, right? I think that's the most important thing. Then overcoming procrastination, right? Why do we procrastinate? A lot of people think that procrastinating is taboo, but it's really not. And sometimes it's the fear of failure and non-belief of what you're doing that you lack the confidence in yourself. So really understanding that and why you procrastinate. And then the fear of failure yourself, right? Being yourself. Most people feel like they have to be something else, right? They get nervous, right? They don't understand or they can't explain the why or why they want to do what they want to do, or they have this great idea, but they just don't move forward and they stagnate. So the most important thing is to have the purpose, right? Commit to your purpose. Find out why you want to do what you're doing. Ask yourself those tough questions, right? Plan it, right? Have something written down. You have to have a plan in order to move forward. Myself, every day, I write my top 3 priorities, right?
Wow.
And it took me a long time to understand because we all have a long list of things to do, right? But every day
As
I
an
make sure
entrepreneur,
before I
you
go to
do.
bed, you have to. You have to drill it down for yourself because otherwise you'll just keep saying you'll get burned out. So, commit to that purpose, understand why you're afraid to be successful, right? Most millionaires, they're living their best life, but they had to overcome their own fear, right?
100%.
You know,
A
yeah.
lot of people, a lot
Yeah.
of people talk how to deal with failure. Nobody talks how to deal with success. And I have my own
Yeah.
personal experience doing that. You have to overcome your fears because then you become successful. You tend to think that you don't deserve it, whatever, and then you lose it all, right?
We self-sabotage. You're absolutely
Mm-hmm.
right, Harry. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's key. Most people don't realize that, but as you do start to, I remember sitting back saying, God, I'm a founder. I own my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to believe that, right? To believe in my strength, to believe in my skills, and to believe in the fact that I can do it, right?
Mm.
But every time you walk in a room,
Same
those
here.
butterflies.
Same
Yeah.
here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you have to get into the room with the poker face, smiling, and inside your belly, I say, "Oh my God, so all these people really gonna listen to me? Oh my God, I better do good here." And you with the poker face like this, nothing's
Yes,
happening.
it's funny that you say that. Somebody taught me a long time ago. A lot of women in the beauty pageant, they actually put Vaseline on their teeth so that it forces them to smile because they're,
Oh
they're very
wow.
nervous too. Yeah, it's like a trick of the trade. And and I think one of the other things is know how your business makes money, right? So many people jump into business and they don't understand how it makes money, right? Developing that business plan, doing your market research, understanding who your client is, right? Testing it. You're going to fail. It's okay to fail, right? Some of the biggest people out there have failed thousands of times, but the one thing they didn't do was give up, right?
Mm.
I'm sure yourself, Harry, had the same thing. I've had my own. Okay, well, I went to launch with this one product and you know what? I had to redefine it. It wasn't what people really wanted. It's what I thought they wanted,
Welcome to
but
the club.
I learned
We all have and
to
read
listen to
and
my client.
reiterate and reiterate until they finally tell you what they really want to buy, right?
Exactly. And they're not always clear because they don't really know.
No, they are experts in giving you wrong clues, and then you develop something that you thought they're so good at mislead you. Oh my God. Yeah. They just want to be friendly. They say, "Oh, what about if your product have this and that?" And they want to be friendly. They just want to talk, and then you are taking note, and I know what they want. And whoo, now you develop a big thing, and wow, I had to redevelop
You had
because
to step back.
and then ask another person, and then or another group of people. Yeah, I think that asking to a group of people is more beneficial now, especially in tech, because when you it's very expensive.
Yes. And
Software
it's true,
developers
you
are
know.
expensive,
And I
especially in
think
your field. In your field, even more expensive in the cybersecurity space.
I think that's a myth, right?
Um,
Cybersecurity can be expensive, right? Depending on the size of the organization, the security posture that you have. But for small businesses, it's really not, right? It is affordable.
I'm glad that
And,
you
you know,
enhance it because this is a taboo, and
yeah, it is a taboo. And, you
yeah,
know, I
it's a
really want to
challenge.
break that
For me,
boundary.
I always think cybersecurity is expensive. Every time that I hear this word is expensive. Because let's face it, is it the yeah. I mean,
Well, let me share something with you, Harry,
go
and you
go
know, for
go
those
for
that
it.
are out there listening. When you're talking about expense for cybersecurity, right? 60% of small businesses get hacked in the first year.
Oh, tell me about
60%.
it. My one twice. And it went first time go down 35 websites. I had to rebuild 35 websites in one shot. And then guess what? Again. Then we
Yes.
rebuild the websites and everything, and we got hacked again, and we had to redo it again. So at the third time, we really start to pay attention that this was a problem, that we need to take this seriously, that this is no, let's do it again. There was a mistake. Somebody forgot a password and whatever. This is something that we had to structure. So we had to do it 360. We had to change the server, the way that we were doing the websites. We were programming
Right.
different language. We were doing in WordPress. It happened to be that WordPress have an easy door for people to get in. In our case, or what we were doing, I'm not saying that WordPress is not safe, but in the way that we were doing it, it didn't work because there were the doors that were easy access, and they were getting to the servers and everything wiped out. So we have and then that happened to you when the most you needed. I was about to give a conference in Singapore. Yeah, true story. And
Wow.
we need to give all those websites to the people and everything. And the day before we got hacked, and then I have with a lot of people in the audience next day, and I couldn't give them anything. And we
Oh
didn't
my
know even what's
God.
going on. My IT director, everybody was looking and said, "We don't know yet. You need to wait." Harry, I said, "How come not even one website?" And the other, and the truth also, Michelle, is that now let's talk about the big companies. Yeah, it was in the news now this week that Elon Musk and X got hacked very heavy, and it took them a lot to solve it. So that's the you see, even the richest person in the world, the only thing that is keeping them at night, keeping them awake at night, is cybersecurity. Can you believe this? This is, you see,
Yes.
every day that Jeff Bezos go to bed, or Elon Musk, all these people, I think that the first thing that they say is, "Well, I hope that tomorrow don't get hacked." And they go to bed. And sometimes they're waking up with nightmares. We go hack, and they go back to sleep, and then they're well easy. So this is how important is cybersecurity. So what are the myths around cybersecurity? If it's really that expensive, how people that startup founders, people with low resources, they can mitigate the risk. I learned in a highway. My lesson was hard because rebuilding 30 plus websites twice. Says God that we have a team that they're very good, and we to do this really fast. But it was we had to pay again to our team, right? Because there was nothing there. So, and there was no way that we could recruit because they have virus, they have something inside there that we're trying to clean it, and was taking time to clean it, the website, that actually to build it again. So I told our team, don't worry. And then you clean it, and then you forgot something, the whole server goes down again. I said, okay, you know what? Forget it. And by the way, let's move out of server also. So then, Michelle, what the things that founders can do in order to start to take seriously cybersecurity, so they don't have a bad experience like Harry, for example? I'm paying
Harry, well, I'm sorry to
attention
hear
to
that happened.
everything. I'm paying attention to everything now. Oh yes, to this. I'm very aware.
I'm
Yeah,
sure you do.
we have double password. We have everything that
Well,
Michelle.
listen, go ahead, Harry. I'm going to tell you, Harry, there's a couple of easy steps that they can take, and it doesn't really cost a lot, right? First of all, any small business owner needs to have a budget. You have to have a minimum budget of at least 2,000 a year, right? Bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
The larger you are, the more expensive it becomes. But at minimum 2,000 a year. And that's going to include your risk assessment, right? Understanding where your gaps are. Is it your website? Is it your internal infrastructure? Understanding how to get back up right away, right? Have
Mm-hmm.
backup.
Mm-hmm.
Like in your
Mm-hmm.
case, right? Was all your
Mm-hmm.
servers backed up? Were you able
Mm-hmm.
to turn them back on really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Because time is money, right? The quicker you get back
I think
into
it's
the
very
game.
affordable, 2,000 for the first year. To do
Yeah,
simple step like you said,
absolutely. Absolutely.
especially in the
And
backup space and things like this.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it's even cheaper than that to maintain it, right? We offer services, subscription services anywhere from 45 to 60 to
ah,
$75
wow,
or monitor your systems, right?
wow,
So there's
um,
things out there that you could do.
very
Even the
affordable.
federal government in the United States have free resources to help small businesses, and I turn a lot of people onto them. I share those resources because again, if you're just starting out, you're not really sure, you need multi-factor authentication, right? You need to make sure that your website's secure. You need to make sure your most important, your data, okay? Because all they really care about, these people that are hacking you, is your data. That's where
Absolutely.
ransomware comes in. They'll shut you down in a minute, right? We've all gotten them. Your emails, protecting your emails, training your folks. It's as simple as that. Don't click on something that looks suspicious. We love to click on those wonderful little images, but in a blink of an eye, you're downloading something. And that's the way they get in usually, right? I would say 95% of hacks come through the emails, right? Phishing
Hmm.
schemes, or we call phishing. There's so many different types of things that are out there, you know. Um, but test your system. Have it done at least once a year, right? Because a good test can tell you exactly where all of the gaps are, and then put the stuff in place that you need to. It's very simple. But I think again, people they hear security, they're like, oh my God, it's going to cost a lot. Oh, how do we do that? We don't know how to do that. There's so many companies out there. You just got to understand what you need. And I give out a free ebook that walks all businesses through the things that they can do. It shares them free resources that they can go to. And I think that's the important thing here, right? Starting to spread the word and building that community where people are comfortable getting involved because cybersecurity is not going away, right?
Yeah, it's
We
just something
have,
very common that happened. The other day I have a message from my friend that said, "Hey, can you please send me some money because I had to make a transaction and my bank is closed, whatever, and I send the money back to you tomorrow." Thanks God that I received thousands of messages, and I said, well, I'll go in tomorrow to see what happened. And then after 3 days, another friend come. Listen, do you receive this from this guy? Look, this is the thing got hacked. Everybody,
oh
all
my
his
God.
all got the same message and has been a nightmare. Some people get the money, big headache, and I'm like, oh my God, thanks God that I receive a lot of messages. And I didn't have the time to to
Right.
deal with that. So that and by WhatsApp, so which is one of the largest companies, right? And you expect that they are this, and certainly they are doing it, but the hackers they're getting more and more clever. Like I said, another question, Michelle, right? Because let's talk about women in tech. How do you feel when you
Mm.
walking in into a full of men that they think that they know everything because this is that we do, yeah. This is otherwise we are not boys, yeah. We know everything, yeah. And then in a space which is a male dominated industry, and now Michelle need to go there and talk with all these boys and tell them, look, if you want to be safe, you have to trust me. Yeah. And you have to listen what I'm about to tell you. And I'm as good developer as all of you listening here. So tell us a little bit about, we have a lot of challenges with women in tech. The funding for women in tech is ridiculous compare what they give to man, and then we have less and less women entrepreneurs in the tech space successful because there is a bias in the industry that we need to do a lot of work, and this podcast is one of the things that we do. We promote women in tech, or we promote women in business. We want more women in business, and we definitely want more women in tech. I think it's a huge problem, and my first employee from my first business, they were all women, and they made me million. They sold me my first million, and they're making me a lot of money. So I'm very grateful to women as an employees and as managers and things like this. And I think they have a great potential. So, how do you feel the first time that you walk into a boardroom and you want to talk about your product, to talk about your services, and maybe you are the only women. Maybe they put the second one so you don't feel uncomfortable. But this is the landscape, right?
Yeah, listen, Harry, there is opportunity obviously in every industry for women, right? Let's face it, it's not only women in tech. I mean, I will say I'm very proud to say about 20% of the industry now is women in tech, right?
Oh,
And it's
very
growing,
good.
right? So it's growing and it's growing and it's
Still
growing. When I
low
walk into a room,
funding,
and it doesn't matter
funding.
who you are, yeah, I think it's about you as a person, right? If you're going to feel insecure when you walk into a room, regardless whether you're a man, woman, whatever, right? Then they're going to feel it, right? I don't feel
Mm.
that way on myself. I've always taught myself be authentic. I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And as long as everybody can meet in the middle on that and you can have that direct conversation, I've had conversations, similar to what you're saying, and, I stand my ground, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's great. But, this is what I know, right? This is who I am. And I think that's very important for anybody out there, especially an entrepreneur. I remember selling my first time to my first client. I walked in there, I was nervous. And you know what I found? I told him, I said, listen, you're my first sale. I told him
Mhm.
straight out. I said, you're my
Wow.
first client. You're my first
Wow.
sale. I said, I'm a little nervous today, but you know what? I'm going to share with you the benefits of what I offer. And I hope
Wow.
at the end of this
Very
conversation,
powerful.
you'll be my first client. And it was very hard. But you know what I found, Harry? I find that the more authentic you are, and if you're true to yourself
Agree.
and you're not afraid, people are willing to help, right? You're going to get no's, and that's okay. There's nothing you could
Oh,
do.
especially
But
trying
you
to
know
find
what?
the
I'm going to
first
be a game
client.
changer.
Be
I
ready for
got to
no. Finding the first client. Be ready for no. Yeah.
And listen, it's going to happen. And listen, what I say all the time, I say, I always start with asking, how can I improve here? Right? Like, what can I do? And I
Hmm.
think that's important because you want to be a game changer. Everybody's selling the same product. We all have the same similar background, to your point. There are people that know a lot more things than I have no idea, right?
Hmm.
I was very fortunate to go to school and continue to learn because that's the only way you stay ahead of the game. But making those connections are critical. And I found a lot of people who are cyber owners, and most of them are men, are willing to mentor me, right? They've been willing to help me. I reached out to them on LinkedIn. They've taken me under their wing. They've given me pointers. And, I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for that because, at the end of the day, it is a dominant world, but it doesn't matter. I think it's a matter of who you are. You have to be true to yourself, right? Got to ask why it didn't work and be all right to go back to the, to the board and start over. But to be a game changer, you have to understand what you're solving for. Most people walk into, I've seen it over and over when they even come to sell me products. They have no idea what they're solving. They'll come and
Hmm.
pitch to me, and I'm like, but what are you solving for? Like what you're all over the place. You know, I know my business. I'm not going to go sell you pen testing when that's not my field. I could tell
Hmm.
you about it. I could tell you what it does, but it's not my expertise, right? So, again, I think it's you have to ask yourself those tough questions and have three good things in your life right now, right? I always ask
Hmm.
myself, what are the three good things in my life today?
Now,
And then
Michelle,
I
one
start
of
with that.
yeah, yeah. of five, one of six entrepreneurs that come to this broadcast on a stop of five step how to make your first million, they are tech entrepreneurs. So it could be that the tech space is a good space to become really wealthy. However, yeah, we need to make all our audience know that it's a huge risk, and always on we in these interviews the success stories. However, this in a space where it's a high risk, obviously high return, but the point that I want to make with this is that from the problem that we find on the tech space, Michelle, is that software developers like you, right? Those on that come to this podcast, most of the tech entrepreneurs that have been successful, that they have ended, some of them they little about software, and they know a lot about sales and marketing. But on the other hand, the software developers like you that show up here, they always talk about selling and marketing also. So which is no, your background, and then we have on the other side of the spectrum that we have all these tech geniuses that they are developing amazing products, and yes, they have a great product, but the company died, the startup died, they never that pattern never progressed. They are way too far ahead from one thing is so developing software and writing code, which is I bet that you are as passionate as of your team. Completely different book game is to go way out of your comfort zone, way out of what you have the background, and start to do things like talk to strangers
Right.
and justify value or and sell. Who the reason that you guys study software is because you want to be alone with your computer. But now, if you want to have a business and you want to run a business successfully and you need to have a team, somebody needs to go out and sell. And in this type of specific, that's why I asked you before, like when you tell me, Harry, I'm doing cybersecurity and everything, my first question was, are you a software developer? Because in order to sell this, you have to know a lot about software and developing. This is thing that, is a high technical prod. So how you manage to become 360 superwoman that can sell, can do marketing, know about technology, not scared of boys, and so so what? How you manage to achieve all this?
So
It's
I
not
wasn't always
common.
a
It's not
software.
common. It's not common.
No, I'll tell you why.
Tell
So
us. Tell
I've
us.
been in business for 30 years, but not in
Wow.
not business, right? My
Hmm.
business is probably about 6 years old. I
Hmm.
was in finance for 30 years. I worked
Hmm.
in large corporations and banks for 30 years. I was a retail banking center manager. So I've always been the face. Then I was in the back of the house, right? So I've always had to sell. I've always had to be out there engaging with customers. That customer service skill gave me the foundation, right? Because
Wow.
who you're talking to, right? It's about customer service. It's about understanding the needs of the person. It's always been about the person. It's not about the business itself. And I think that's the one thing that stood with me throughout the many, many years, right? So, I mean, I didn't start off where I started off, right? I
Hmm.
started off somewhere else.
Hmm.
Um, and I had to do the cold sales, right? I had to go out and I had to hit the ground running. I had to go to communities and networking and believe me, they're not comfortable because you don't know people and especially if
Hmm.
you're an introvert, it's even that much harder. And a
Hmm.
lot of the software people out there today, or a lot of the developers or the engineers that are out there are introverts, right?
Yes.
Like you
Absolutely.
said, yeah, and I understand. I'm partially an introvert, but I had to learn to be an extrovert because if you want a business, you have to be able to do that. And it's very difficult. Believe me, like I
Yeah.
said to you, I walk into a room, I still get butterflies in my stomach. I come onto this podcast, I'm like, oh my God, I got to talk. you know, but you know what? I can't worry about what people think. And I think that's the biggest thing I'll tell anybody who has a great product, a great application, and they want to launch their business. Again, overcome your fear. People will help you. And you may not know where to start. Like I remember I listened to I think it was Alex Hormozy. I don't know if you know who that is, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I listened to one of his podcasts a long time ago, and he gave really good advice. He said, you know what? Start with the people you know. Go through your contacts, go through your emails, go through, all your social media and start reaching out to those people first. Because those are the people you know that you'll be a little bit more comfortable with in
Your
starting to build.
relationship with, yeah.
Yeah. That you
Mm.
kind of maybe even if you haven't spoken to them. I remember reaching out to people that I hadn't spoken to in like 6, 7 years. I'm like, hey, I'm going to start a business. Can I test something on you? And I didn't
Mhm.
go out selling. I asked them for opinions. I asked them, if they would look at my product, if they would let me, you know, practice on them. Right. So like sometimes you have to do that. And that's kind of where I really started. I didn't do the hard sales at first. Right. And then eventually, I got into going into the networking groups, being singular into where I wanted to be. My next, I've gone to all the conferences, right? You meet a lot of great people, but everybody's selling everybody. You're selling them, they're selling you. So,
Uh,
I mean, but I just was at the Cyber Summit last week in New York City, right? And I was visiting the tables, just kind of, mushing around. And I met one of this I met this guy who has his own product, and it's his second time building a product. The first product he sold, and he was sharing his story with me, he sold for $30 million, right?
wow.
But what a lot of these smaller entrepreneurs need to realize is the larger companies today are looking for those next game products, and they're willing to buy you out.
Wow.
So you
Very
have to
powerful.
get your sales pitch. Join a group. I joined Women Economic Development, right? I took a great class, taught me a lot of things about business, and it was something that I needed. It was a foundation to build a business plan on and how to get out
Hmm.
there. So,
Hmm.
don't be afraid. Reach out
Community
to
is
me,
very
I'll tell
important.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll help them too, Harry. We
Uh,
need to build a community so people are
uh,
not, if they're stuck, you got to ask. Got to
you need to
ask.
ask for help, and sometimes it's difficult for an entrepreneur to ask for help. But
Yes,
or to look for help and we trying to solve problem ourselves. But it's you will be surprised when you said I help how people can guide and help, especially they are also entrepreneurs. They know what you're going through, and
that's right.
the entrepreneur community guys, the people that come to this podcast, I found that they're amazing. They are very approachable, very helpful, and they've been there. We all have been until we all have been with the same process, finding our first client, the
Mm-hmm.
butterflies, growing a company, growing a team, go for the up and down, market change, you name it. That roller coaster that we all go through, that only us understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Michelle, women in corporate, what message do you have for the women out there that wants that are like you, right? Because it's a big difference in being in a corporate and to run. And I know a lot of women in corporate, they are looking at you and say, "Wow, I wish that I had like Michelle to quit this job and I start my own business," because they're feeling that they are in the golden cage. They're not fulfilled. They're not happy. They're not growing.
Yeah.
They're making good money, but and they don't know when they're gonna get fired, and now they have a stress and they become overweight and unhealthy. However, become an entrepreneur is completely different things, and that transition sometimes people from corporate to become an entrepreneur, they have time to accept because number one, when you have a job, you have to become very good at that job. Yeah, and if somebody comes, sometimes you will be able to say, "Well, I'm sorry, this is not my job." That doesn't happen when you have a business. Everything is your job, and there is no such thing as Saturday and Sunday or day off or 9 to 5 when you have a business, especially in the first 2 years. After, yeah, when you scale, when you put your, of course, but depend how you can design it. Actually, you design it what time you're gonna work, and in our business we design what time we're gonna work and which day we're gonna work, and everybody adjusts to it. It gets is we design purpose like this, so which I find very very beneficial to rest on Mondays. It's amazing. There is nobody on the street. All the restaurants are empty. You get a lot of offers. It's brilliant to rest Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. Oh, so this is one of the early discoveries. This discovery is not new. 16 years ago, we discovered this. I say we because and Lily, my girlfriend, she's also run companies as well. So we adjust this. We find out that Mondays is amazing. Nobody wants Mondays, and we're excited every time the Mondays is showing up. Yeah, because why is Monday? So anyway, good. Less people in the theaters, in the cinema, everything, and good food and eating peace with silent. Amazing Mondays. Anyway, so Michelle, what message do you have for women in corporate that they don't have that courage? They are trapped in this golden cage,
Mm,
and it's a high risk because becoming an entrepreneur is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. And when you wait until a certain age, or you don't have strength, and start find your first client when you are 50, 55, of course it's possible. But if you can that decision early, you've been in both. Yeah, what are the pros and cons? Why you decided to take this leap of faith, and do you really knew what you getting into and the risk that you were getting into, becoming your own, uh, starting your own business and start to employ people in a very competitive and technical
mm.
type of product? Yeah, tell us what happened. And what
Yeah,
message do you
so
have for women in corporate? What message do you have for
I'm
women in
gonna,
corporate that
yeah.
are the same like you?
Listen, I was in corporate, like I said, for 30 years. And I think the profounding decision, and why I made the decision I made to go and work for myself was A, you get tired, right? Like you said. And it's you're complacent. You're complacent because that paycheck, right? What do I do
Mm-hmm.
without a paycheck? And I think a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
stay because they don't know what they would do. And it's a free fall. It's a free fall, right? Um, but I made that decision because I knew at any time I'm expendable. And I think I learned that through a lot of restructuring. I've seen a lot of good
In
people with the
corporate,
company
right?
20,
Yeah.
30 years, and all of a sudden, they're being let go, right? And as these
And you don't have
corporations,
a plan B, you have nothing. You're literally
that's right, you're stuck. Maybe you're lucky if you get a severance, right? Maybe, maybe. If not, you get 2 weeks, you pay your vacation, and you're on your way. And now what, right? You're lucky for $300-400 a week. So I took a couple of years ago when I started my business, and I said, I got to do something else. I went back to school. I wanted to go into technology. I knew that. So you have to make a decision on what you really want to do. You have skills, right? Like, let's say you're an auditor. I don't know. You have that skill. You have auditing skills. You can go out and you can start working on a W-2, put your name out there, get your resume out there. There's so many things that entrepreneurs can do today to start their own business. It's not even funny, right? And it's going to start small, right? You're not going to expect to make $100,000, in the first year. It just doesn't happen. But could it? Absolutely. But I think for those women that are on the fence, right, and they're afraid, they're miserable at work or whatever it might be, um, I had to make that decision. I went back to school and I said, okay, I'm going to go to school. It's going to take me 2 to 3 years. I knew it was going to take me 2 to 3 years to get my certifications and, get the background, the technical end of what I needed. So I started that journey. And in the interim, I stayed working, but I was at school 4 nights a week, right? So you're kind of burning the bridge. So sometimes you have to put in what you want out of it. And it was very hard. I mean, I was burnt. Time those 3 years were done. I remember my brain like, oh my
hmm
God. But, you know, then I said, you know what, what's the next step? And that's when I started to go, okay, well, how do I start a business? What do I do? Where do I start? Where do I learn? Who can I reach out to? And I started online like you probably did, or anything else, reaching out to people saying, I
Small,
want to
yeah.
start. Yeah. And I remember taking a look at a lot of YouTube classes, like just learning and listening from people, from millionaires and people like that, and listening on how their journey went. I even listened to you, like in the very beginning, I went all the way back, Harry. So, like, it's very interesting from where we start, but you can't be afraid. And it always starts, and I say that, and it's overcoming the fear of entrepreneurship. That's why I wrote that book.
hmm
You've
hmm
got to start with yourself. You've got to start with what makes you afraid and why. And once you answer that question, you'll realize that there is no fear. It's only what you're telling yourself, right? It's a mindset. It's shifting your mindset. And that's really what the difference is. For those that really want to do it, they shift their mindset. There's a need for them that's greater than the fear that they have. And that's kind of where I went. You become a game, right? You have to realize what you want. And if you're on that fence, reach out to somebody. There's so many coaches out there, people that'll teach you for free. Go on LinkedIn. I mean, all day long. I mean, I can give you 20 people that I reached out to, didn't pay a dime to, and these people are very successful, right?
Mm,
Just started to like research them, pinged them on LinkedIn, said, hey, we need a mentor. I want to do
mm,
this. I have an idea. What can you give me? They have the time, they'll talk to you, right? Some of them
absolutely.
won't, some of them will be flaky, some of them won't, I'm not saying, but you
But
know how it
someone
is,
will,
right, Harry?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't be afraid. Change, you can't be afraid. Because if you're gonna fear and you're gonna worry about that paycheck, then
But
don't do it.
also have a
Right?
plan B, like for instance, in corporate, we definitely don't recommend to listen this broadcast and then quit straight away and say I'm gonna start a business. But
No.
on the side, have your corporate job, and you know that well. There is always restructuring. There is always merge, acquisition, buying, selling,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody new comes, and because they don't know anybody, they say, you know what, last week performance, last month performance, show me the numbers. At least I need I don't need the 30
Yeah.
people, and now you are a number, and you don't know what happened. That has nothing to do with you. It's out of your control. So it could be a good idea, especially because I think people in corporate, that the women in corporate, people in corporate in general, they have a lot of skills. They're very well prepared. They have network. They have
Right.
so on the side at your own time, you can start to think. What would you like to do on the side? What business plan you have? You can design a pilot product and try to go down and sell it, or to your friends, or to your family, see if somebody want to buy it, or to someone market at a small scale. See the feedback. You can people incorporate a lot of consultancy. That's because
Mm-hmm.
they do have skills, right? And
That's
on the
right.
side they can start to learning the skill. I think that become an entrepreneur is a skill. Is everyone can become a great entrepreneur. The more you practice, the better you become. This is how it works. There is no shortcuts. There is no shortcuts. Regardless that you read a lot of books and you ask for help, you have to go out and do it. And this first gonna do it for you.
Right.
If somebody does it for you, the second sale you have to do it. So it doesn't eventually it will come to you. You might need to face this challenge. So I think that from here we wish one to be healthy, wealthy, and happy. So one of the part of being healthy is to have a healthy, a good mental health. And I think if you're in a
Mm-hmm.
place that you're not fulfilled, that you have a stress, that you don't know who's gonna go next, or sometimes the value of the company is that not aligned with your values, and you're actually uncomfortable there, and you need to feel in a different way. What Michelle? What are the regarding culture, yeah, what do you think culture incorporate, and then when you want the culture for your own company, any lessons there?
Culture is key, right? But it comes from the leaders. It's easy for me to write down a mission statement. It's easy for me to tell you this is my corporate culture and this is what I want to say. But if you don't live it, people know it. I've worked in plenty of businesses where, oh, this is our culture. You get in there and you're like, yeah, that's not the culture at all. And I'm sure a lot of people can identify with that. Corporate culture is about how you treat others, right? And it's about what you really value and what you share in that value. And I can again, I can attest my own that I think the most important thing is the feeling of, right? Allowing people to say what's on their mind, bring their ideas. Nothing is wrong, right? Like I think what I've most importantly on running my own is people's perception or their perception, and you need to learn to accept other people's perception when it comes to
Mm,
culture,
mm,
right? Because the way I look at something may not be the same as the way Harry looks at something.
mhm,
And if Harry says, well, this is the way I felt, or this is the way I see it, and I'm just like, well, that's just too bad, then I'm not really a leader, right?
mhm.
It's easy to manage people, it's harder to lead them.
To become a
And
leader.
yeah, and leading
And
them is,
now, and
yeah,
it's
it's
part of the
about culture.
entrepreneurship. Nobody told you that you have to become a leader. You thought that you're gonna be in business, and all you have to do is just have a product, sell it, make some profit. You make an extra money.
Yeah,
You thought that is what you had to do, and now, my God, I have to become a leader. I have to touch, move, and inspire my employees, my clients, how to create that culture around the product and what it really means. And
right.
so we're going to through different processes in the entrepreneurship journey. So Michelle, tell us about your book. Tell us where can we find your book? What is your favorite chapter? What do you wrote this book?
Yeah, so my book
What's the
itself
title?
can be found on, well, the name of the title is Overcoming the Fear of Entrepreneurship and Solopreneurship and Transform to a Game Changer.
Wow, very
I know it's a
powerful.
lot, but yeah, you can find it on Kindle. It's out there. It's on Amazon. I just actually launched it. That's my second book. I have a couple other books that are out there that I wrote, but a lot of them are self journeys, right? Like the book itself is, why do people their ideas off the ground and others don't? Really? And that's
Hmm.
the premise of it.
Exactly. It's
And
come from the question I was asking you about corporate and everything. I know that
yeah,
there are people listening this broadcast right now and they are, oh my God, I wish I have that courage
so do I.
to start my own thing. And the sad thing is most of them not, and one go fired, and then a lot of mental health issues, obesity, drinking, you name
Yeah.
it, happen, and just because not having that courage. But I don't think that is not having the courage. I think that people what they need is culture. They need community. They need to know people that have done it, and as soon as
Yes.
they can see role models, that's one of the reasons why we do this broadcast. So they can, when you see role models, when you see people that actually have done it, you start to believe that it's actually possible, and you can do it. And hey, you don't need to become a multimillionaire. If this is what you really want, you go for it. Yeah, you have to pay a price though. Yeah, sometimes people come and say, Harry, come, let's do this business. We're gonna make millions. I'm like, I think that the input that I had to put in this thing, the millions are not worth it that much. I value more my time. Keep the
Exactly.
millions. You don't need. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
sometimes you have to see what input are you gonna what you're gonna take, and what do you really need to be happy to have. I talk about this concept millionaire lifestyle. So a lot of people say that they need to have a lot of millions in the bank account to be happy. And how about if you design your millionaire lifestyle? Like, I don't know, I'm cooking because I'm in this weight thing. I'm a little bit chubby. Part of the reason why I'm a little bit chubby is the entrepreneur journey, which is bring stress along with it,
Yes.
and you eat more than you're supposed to, and you don't have, so you eat any type of food you find, and now I have time to go and buy good food, and I cook it, and I eat something really good. It takes a lot of time, but I had the time. If
Yeah,
you
you
know what I
learn though,
mean.
right, Harry?
Yeah,
You
to
took
look
it.
after
Yeah,
yourself,
you
because we need to
learned.
learn about to talk about look after ourselves, because with growing a
Hmm.
company, our body take a hit. Yeah. Sometimes the entrepreneur coming here, they look a little bit crazy. You see, and it's not that they look a little bit crazy, but what we have been through is something that not everyone will understand, because we take more risk, have way more responsibility than any corporate job or anything, because we're responsible for everything. We're responsible for the people, responsible for the client, we're responsible for the product, we're responsible for even sometimes one of my employees said, well, how do I cannot lose this job because my whole family eat from this. I'm like, what? from so you are
It's
responsible for
yeah.
things that you don't even know that you're responsible. So, and
Yeah.
so Michelle, if someone is in love with this conversation and they want to buy your books and they want to learn more about you, or someone in corporate want at least some support, maybe a sentence from you, you can do it, that would be enough, what that woman or what that person needs, how people can find you, how this process work.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, I'm on LinkedIn. Come look me up on LinkedIn. You'll find me there. I'm on Twitter, obviously, with my business.
How
I'm
you
on
are in
Facebook.
LinkedIn, Michelle, because some people are listening in the car and they so can
Yeah.
you say it?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. So it's Michele Novack. If you look me up on LinkedIn, that's where you'll find me. But also, you'll find my business Cardinal Bites, which is on there as well. I'm on Facebook, so you can find me there. My book is under Michele Novack, so you can go on Kindle and look me up, or go on Amazon and do some research. But you can also reach me if you want to call me. Just call me.
Thank you. Wow, that's amazing.
I'll
Thank you
give you
so
my
much.
phone number. You can
Very
call me. I
kind.
take everybody's call. I don't care.
Very kind. Thank you so
I
much,
just
Michelle.
had a girl the other day that I was mentoring, and she reached out to me because I
Wow.
mentored her a couple of months ago, and she actually reached out to me on LinkedIn, and she said she finally found a job in cyber. I was mentoring her. And
Wow.
she's like, I just want to thank you. And I said, oh my God, because I think it was last year. I do mentoring every now and then for younger girls looking to
Yeah,
break
very
into cyber.
fulfilling. Very
So I'm
fulfilling.
very happy for her. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about, giving back. You said build a community, right,
Mm-hmm.
Harry? That's very important. And
Mm-hmm.
happiness doesn't come from other things. Happiness comes from within
Absolutely. And when
yourself
you make the
first.
difference
What
on
you
other
tell
human
everybody.
being, this is how give you a level of fulfillment, and you get paid in another currency, better than money.
That's
You will
right.
pay love,
It's
in
better.
appreciation. You don't get sick. You see, because everybody love you. Yeah, that energy comes to you. Now you're not even sick. So it's amazing to be in that space. So thank you so much, Michelle. And for all of you following this broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Michelle break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.